So today we're looking at the lie of waiting for motivation. Do you get stuck in this mindset of waiting for motivation to go and join the gym, to do a new course, to travel, to just put some things in action? Well, I'm going to tell you something today that other people on podcasts, David Bayer and the likes, say it's not about waiting for motivation. Motivation will come, but we have to do it first. And it sounds obscure, doesn't it? So just decide to shift, change, and grow. So the affirmation is, I'm looking for my card as well. I don't wait for motivation to find me. I create momentum through my commitment to action. So, for example, this 30-day program that I've created, my commitment was creating the program, writing it up, getting the information, finding out what cards I can use with it, because each card is designed through the art to connect you with the colors, the imagery, and the message and the energy that is emitted through these cards. And that card is about connecting you with this idea of how do we just make a decision and do something. So I had the idea, lots of us get ideas about all sorts of things, had the idea, then I write it down because it helps me land that information, explore that, and then when I've got time, I will expand that information more. But the thing that helps me not just create the programs and the things that I record and the things that I do is also having a plan and having some discipline and a framework week to week of how I fit these different things in. Because as I've got various things on YouTube, I've got websites, and I do private work with clients. So the affirmation, entertain this affirmation. I don't wait for motivation to find me. I create momentum through my commitment to action. So the I pulled the right one, the wheel. Chariot. Oh, that's interesting. I picked up the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so the card with this is the Chariot. And so the Chariot symbolizes willpower, determination, and triumph over obstacles, which I need to find. And it's the card about taking control, steering your life forward with focused energy and confidence. So today, the chariot reminds us to stop waiting for the right feeling and instead take the reins and charge ahead. It reminds us that motivation often follows action, not the other way around. So the other example I'll give you is, as I've talked in previous videos, had the car accident in 2019. I was practicing yoga from then, did the yoga teacher training. But I also know, especially as I get older, that that's not enough. I needed strength training and then endurance. So I wanted to build up my capacity to do more and to, walk up more and down, up and down hills, like in Devon, where it's quite hilly. So I decided last summer, but I was out and about a lot, that I wanted to go back to the gym and hadn't been to the gym for a few years. And it took me about 6 weeks to get that into action because I wasn't sure whether I was going to be here to get a national gym membership or I was going to be here enough to get use out of the one with my local gym. And I like the local gym, it's got a nice swimming pool. And so the idea came, I looked at the plan of when that was possible to put that into action, went and got the membership. And at first, and this is the thing that often puts people off, is I hadn't got the same level of strength that I had years ago, over a decade ago, when I was going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week, and I could do the cross trainer for 40 minutes at like level 9 or 10, and I could row for 20 minutes, I could go running, I could lift weights. I was incredibly fit, but I hadn't done it for a long time. And I bought some weights and had them at home. I don't know if I've got my pink one here. It's like a little 2 kilo weight. And at first, I did a set of 12 reps. I thought, I'm not going to the gym yet. That was before I decided to actually go to the gym. I'm going to do them at home so I can start to get my muscles used to it. Because whenever you increase your activity, especially if it's physical, you're not been to the gym for a while or swimming, then you can get really tired and, need to sleep and have more rest. So I knew that that was coming. So I was using the 2 kilos, and then I bought a 5 kilo weight, using them on my arms, and then started doing, I've got about 3 or 4 different rep systems that I use on my arms, and then went to the gym. And when I first went to the gym, um, you know, I sometimes you think, is there any use in even putting your lycra on? Um, so I sat in the gym and I was actually a bit nervous about lifting any of the machines because the machines alone are very weighty before you even stack any weights onto them. So initially I just lifted the machines up and down without any weights on, did one set and thought I'll monitor how my body responds to that. And it did do what it normally does, which is I got very tired. I had to make sure I slept plenty. My body went into it, like it gets inflamed. And so I did that a few times before I put any weight on it. So this was about making the decision to take action. So it was booking the course, deciding when that would work, and prioritizing that, prioritizing me and what I needed to do for the next stage of my own journey, whether that is physical, psychological, spiritual, or emotional. Then I started swimming, and because I had a shoulder injury still from the car accident, doing the breaststroke, I could only do 2 lengths, and that would create a lot of problem. So slowly with that, I then moved it up to 10 lengths, and then I moved it up to 20 lengths, and that's like the average that I do now. So I still come back, and I'll still ache the next day, but I won't ache anyway in the way that I did, or be as sleepy and knocked out. So that's an example of, of being able to move from doing very little and knowing that you're going to feel it to then actually implementing that. And then what's great is once you've achieved something like putting on your lycra, going to the gym, lifting one weight, doing 3 lambs, you've hit your goal. So make sure that you set your goals small to start with so that you can get the benefit of the dopamine hit of having met that goal. If you said, I'm going to go and work out 3 times a week and do 40 minutes each time, and you've done nothing before, you're possibly putting the goal too high. And it's good to do something every day, really, because that's what helps develop that momentum. And that's what I talked about earlier on in this series. So the Chariot is that card of willpower, determination, and triumph over obstacles, and about taking control and steering your life. Okay, so don't wait for motivation to just magically appear. I've had that conversation so many times about people. I'm going to try and find the card because I've lost it in my deck to show you the Chariot, because it's good to have a representation for. There it is. Oh, there it is. Keep getting pop-ups. So don't fall into the trap of waiting. And as you can see, there's a black horse and a white horse. And on some cards, I don't know why that's such a bad image. On some cards, the imagery is a little bit different. And this is about personal power, which is yellow, which is linked with the solar plexus. And the black and white card the horses can be seen as shadow and the light. So there's different ways that you can interpret this, but it's huge. It's just useful to have something symbolic. So what if I told you that motivation is just a result of showing up and deciding to move forward, regardless of how you feel? So it's about understanding that the spark comes from the first step. And I'm still going to the gym and I'm still going swimming and I still do that amount of exercise when I'm back. When I'm out in my camper van, I switch it over because I walk a lot more when I'm by the coast. It just seems to naturally happen. So it's just about showing up and deciding to move forward, and also being aware once you're in midlife, once you pass 40, is often we don't seem to retain what we're building up each time if we miss it, if we miss a few days. So I've had the odd period where I've missed yoga for 2 weeks and I can really feel my body going stiff and the pain coming back in. So this is about understanding to do the first part, to take the first step, to tick it off your list, feel the dopamine and think about what it is that you want to change, shift and grow. And I'm going to do a separate video on the wellbeing wheel so that I can show you how to make little goals for different aspects of your life. Just making a note of that. Because that tool in itself helps us decide and calibrate the different aspects of a life, how satisfied we are in them, and what little thing we can do that's different that increases our level of satisfaction with it. So it could be that we make a simple goal like breathing deeply. You know, that I think there was a guy I listened to, he would do 30 deep breaths every morning. I think he did breath of fire, just to get the oxygen moving in his body, clear out any toxins and open up his lungs. And that would start to be the process of him feeling much better. Sometimes in the summer, I've got the chairs outside, so I can go outside with a cup of coffee early in the morning. It's lovely and peaceful. Listen to the trees and the birds, and give myself 5 to 15 minutes of that mindfulness. Do you want to write something? You know, write in your journal every day. Is that the small step that you're going to do? And so just think about what that might look like. So remember, motivation is not magic, it's a muscle, and we're building that up as we move forward. So today, it's your first workout. The first few videos in this was helping you understand more about awareness and some of the patterns that we get stuck in and how our past influences our current. And the book recommendation with this is called Atomic Habits by James Clear, a fantastic guide on how tiny, consistent changes build lasting momentum and transformation. And the song is by Queen, Don't Stop Me Now. Can't sing, sorry about that. It's an energetic anthem to fuel your unstoppable spirit. And when I was going into the gym in previous years, I used to play really hardcore dance music, because that would get you running on the treadmill. And the research behind this, in terms of behavioral psychology, shows that one action alone leads to motivation more than motivation leads to action. So that's in research, and it's called the activation energy. So at the start of a task, the hardest part, but once initiated, habits form through the reward of accomplishment and neurological reinforcement. And that's why even small wins help us build confidence and long-term habit formation. And there's a lot more people who've realized that now and are saying the same thing. So the journal prompts, get your journal out and think about, what have I been waiting for before I take action? What's one small step that I can take today, even if I don't feel ready? And how can I remind myself that motivation often comes after starting? So if you feel, when you take a deep breath and you connect to yourself and you start to develop that awareness, you can hear the thoughts in your head in relation to what I'm saying. So notice if you've got any resistance, like, what's she talking about? That's rubbish. I can't do that. You know, notice any of that and put that in your journal, because that gives you a really good idea as to what's sabotaging you. Or someone else might say, you can't go to the gym. Look at you in Lycra. You know, you can get those comments from people sometimes, or you know, as you get older, we can't do X, Y, and Z. So they're limiting beliefs and their ideas about yourself. So just become aware of what you might be thinking. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and I'm sure that you've taken one step towards an action. And the crystal linked with this is carnelian. It's known as the stone of motivation, courage, and endurance, and it boosts drive, overcomes procrastination, and you can hold or wear that when you need the extra push. So if you're struggling with that, use things like the Mel Robbins idea of, when you wake up in the morning, if you keep putting your alarm on pause, or you know, for the alarm to keep replaying, it's actually harder to get up and get motivated than if you say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get out of bed. Just get out of bed, then go and have a shower, then brush your teeth, and do each step, because they're all goals. And every time you've got out of bed, brush your teeth, made the bed, Jordan Peterson talks about this, is these everyday things you can turn into goals that you're already doing, because we're now telling the brain that we are taking action on something, rather than seeing those as immaterial, not related. So like and subscribe to my page, leave some comments below about anything you've learned from this or your ideas, or pop me an email if you want to work with me for a session or the Kickstarter sessions. And I will have some coaching programs coming up, and the workshop that I've got coming up linked with this. There's a pre and post 30-day program workshop. So I look forward to seeing you next time.